Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, the Drafted Up podcast. We're back after a little 1 week break. Had a lot of stuff had to do real life wise, so we pushed the podcast back a week. And today, we're doing a Dynasty startup mock draft. We figured instead of rankings, because really Dynasty rankings, there's no math or statting guys out. It's really like projecting like what guys are doing forward because you got them forever. So it's a little better to just do that through the draft, and we can kind of talk about like who you value at that spot, whatnot, position wise. That's Nick. I'm Theo. Like I said, this is the Drafted Up podcast. You know where to find us. The show, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts or watch your podcasts. We're there. Like, rate, subscribe, review, share, all that good stuff. We always appreciate the support. And then Twitter, I'm just going to stop telling you, but it's at @DraftedUp_pod. If it gains followers, I will tweet from there, but if not, it's there if you want it, but don't feel obligated. The show's more important.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Nicholas, how are
Good to
you
be back
today, my friend?
Doing good. Ready to dive into some Dynasty talk real quick on this episode. Like you said, the rankings of Dynasty change so quickly every year. It's sure you got the top guys, but like the middle guys come next year, this time, it's going to be completely different, dude. Like it's going to be insane with all the upcoming rookies, and they get way overdrafted, and half of them don't even pan out. But
yeah, especially running backs.
I'm excited to do this exercise because you don't often start a Dynasty startup week. It's not something you do every single year. If you did, you'd be in 30 Dynasty leagues because you're supposed to be in them for extended amounts of time. So it's been a hot minute since I've ran a Dynasty startup, so I'm excited.
Yeah. And if you comment and you want to do a Dynasty league, again, I brought that up eons ago. We'll still do it. We're still interested.
Oh, yeah.
So if we can garner enough interest, we will run a Dynasty startup, a real one. But today we're just going to do a little exercise. A lot of news has happened since we last recorded. Sure. Aaron Rodgers finally signed officially.
He signed months ago in my head
with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm a little upset about it. Now he's just bitching about his helmet, that he has to use a new helmet.
Sure, cry about it. No, I figured he was going to Pittsburgh months ago, and it was all just so he didn't have to do minicamp stuff. And I get it. He's old. He doesn't want to do it. He's Aaron Rodgers, so he wants to make it about him.
Yeah. Way less of a spectacular this time. It kind of just happened on a Tuesday.
That's because I don't think anyone cares anymore. I don't think anyone really cares. Yeah. Wherever he plays, and we kind of all seen it being Pittsburgh.
Plus, like you said, it was a foregone conclusion he was going to end up in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly.
Had he not gone to Pittsburgh, I think he would have made it would have been crazy. Whole big stink about it.
Yeah, if you would have went to like New Orleans out of the blue, it's a team that could use a quarterback. The Browns could use a quarterback. They already have 5 of them, so they're not going to sign one.
Yeah. Speaking of the Browns, former Browns running back legend Nick Chubb, he signed with the Texans. It's probably a better real life football move. I don't think it's going to do a whole lot fantasy wise. Nick Chubb really not going to bring a ton of fantasy value to you. If anything, it might hurt Joe Mixon a little bit, take some touchdowns from him. But I don't even know if Nick Chubb still has it. We'll see. He's coming off that broken foot, and then also coming off the serious ligament injury from 2 years ago. So we'll see. But like I said, I think that's a better real life signing. Gives them a better fallback behind Joe Mixon. Because yes, last year they were busting out Daria Gumawale because their running back room was depleted.
See, I think that's what it comes down to. I think it's Nick Chubb is going to be Joe Mixon's replacement if Joe Mixon goes down. I don't think Nick Chubb's going to see the field a bunch unless that does happen. If Mixon does get hurt, I think Chubb will slide in. But I still think Woody Marks is going to be the predominant passing back in that backfield. So I don't think Nick Chubb really affects much unless Mixon goes down.
Yeah. Like I said, I think if anything, he takes 2-3 touchdowns.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, a couple here and there.
Joe. Yeah. Trying to think, anything else happened? J.K. Dobbins signed with Denver, which hurts your boy RJ Harvey a little bit in my eyes.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
I think you're now looking at him probably redraft wise as a low end RB2.
I think that's like the ceiling
guy.
Yeah.
But
I think he should be drafted as a flex guy at this point.
I also think there's a world where J.K. Dobbins could end up being the more productive back because he might get the touchdown work. I look at him like he's going to play the Mark Ingram role here for Sean Payton when he had Ingram and Kamara,
For sure.
and Harvey's going to do more of the Kamara stuff, catch passes, be the flasher play. But J.K. Dobbins could have more production because he could get 10 touchdowns on 900 yards, close to what he did last year with the Chargers. He had 909, and he missed 4 games.
Yeah, if he can hold up. His production dropped drastically after the first 2 weeks of the year. I think he averaged under 4 yards a carry after the second week of season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not huge on J.K. Dobbins, but it does take work away from R.J. Harvey. But I don't think it's going to be much. I think both could be flex guys this season.
Mm-hmm.
But in this exercise, R.J. Harvey's. I'm looking at the future for R.J. Harvey.
Yeah,
but this year
it doesn't affect R.J. Harvey here. It affects him in redraft situations.
Yeah, for sure. And they're paying him. It's 1 year, $5 million. So they're paying J.K. So he's gonna play. He's gonna be on the field.
This essentially wipes out McLaughlin and Estime.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And unless Sean Payton wants to do it again and just use 4 to 5 backs like a maniac and just really piss everybody off. Yeah. I don't think there was anything else really serious. Keenan Allen still a free agent. Gabe Davis still a free agent. Amari Cooper still a free agent. So some decent names there. Well, Gabe Davis, not really. He's more of a name than he is a value. But Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, they have a role. If they saw if one of them ends up in Pittsburgh,
I was just gonna say that. I think one of them ends up in Pittsburgh.
I think if it's Keenan Allen, I think that really hurts DK because I think Keenan Allen's the type of receiver Aaron Rodgers is going to rely on. Mm-hmm. I don't think Amari Cooper affects DK that much, but Keenan Allen, though, I do think would hurt DK Metcalf's stock. And I personally just think Keenan Allen in general is just better than Amari Cooper wherever he goes. I would value Keenan Allen more than I would Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I agree to that. I was really hoping Roman Wilson would be picking up some steam in camp, and it's not happening. They've come out that said Calvin Austin is the number 2 receiver on this team, and then they also have Bobby Trees. So I was really hoping for Roman Wilson's sleeper this year, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen.
Yeah,
so
kind of bummed out. I think Roman Wilson would have played that underneath role really well for Rodgers, similar to what he did with Randall Cobb back in the day. And I think Roman Wilson is that caliber of player, but he's just not staying healthy or whatever's going on
out there in Pittsburgh.
It's a shame because Roman Wilson, talented player. We weren't as high on him as draft media. A lot of people had him late first, early second, and we kind of had him late second, early third type range. But still a quality football player, and it just hasn't worked out for him there in Pittsburgh so far.
Yep.
All right,
for sure.
Anything else?
Nah, dude, I don't think so.
Okay.
Relatively quiet week besides the 2 running back signing, and Aaron Rodgers signed 2 months ago. So
a bunch of mini camp stuff, but we're not going to get into that because everybody looks good in mini camp.
Exactly.
Deebo Samuel. I don't know if you saw that report.
Yeah, it's looking like he's running slow as hell there in Washington. I've seen the clip.
I saw someone say that it looks like he's running with a piano attached to his back.
The one I seen was Deebo Samuel looks like he's running with weights in his pants. And he was just lollygagging along. But man, if he's catching underneath stuff and slants and screens, man, I don't really care how fast he's running. He's not going to take him to the house. So
I agree. All right,
he's getting old.
Let's share the screen. All right, so we're doing a 12-team startup dynasty. We did a random order. I just put my name, Nick's name, and then 10 computer slots. Randomized the list. Nick ended up with pick 2. I ended up with pick 6. So, kind of gives you a middle range and an early range. Couldn't get a third person on here to kind of cover the late balance. But let's get this baby started here.
Maybe one day we'll have a mock with a full draft room and we'll just really run through it.
Yeah, so I essentially just did 16 rounds. We have our starters, quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, tight end, 2 flex, and then a bench that we could take one of each to balance it out there to do 2 of 2, or backups. You know what I mean? But you could draft your bench however you want. But 16 rounds, we'll get through this. Jamar Chase off the board, 1-1, which is where I would have went there.
Yep, for sure.
Had I had the first pick, putting you up. You got Jefferson, Neighbors, and Brian Thomas, CeeDee Lamb, and you got Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs. You got you got a full basket to pick from here, brother.
In redrafts, I'm very pro running back in the first round, and then just kind of letting it rock as the draft falls. But in Dynasty, I'm complete opposite. Dynasty, I'm looking at my running backs for at least 2 to 3 years, and after that, it's kind of whatever happens, happens.
Mm-hmm.
But receivers, I want to get 5 to 7 years out of an elite young receiver, which Chase went 1. I would have went Chase 1, no doubt. So I'm going Justin Jefferson here. He's the guy I'm going to get at least 5 to 6 years out of Minnesota. Justin Jefferson, doesn't matter his quarterback. He is a dog. So I'm locking that in with Justin Jefferson.
Yep, and he's quarterback proof. We saw that last year. Exactly. Sam Darnold.
Yep.
He produced with Josh Dobbs, and now he's getting J.J. McCarthy, who has looked great here, minicamp again, 2 years running. So we'll see how that goes. But Jefferson, you don't got to worry about that. He may not always be the wide receiver 1 overall, but he's always going to be a top 12 guy every season.
Exactly. I don't have to worry about that for sure.
All right, so I'm looking here. I got Malik Neighbors on the board. I don't hate that. And I got Brian Thomas Jr. Those are 2 of my dudes.
CeeDee Lamb's on the board too.
Yep, CeeDee Lamb as well. So not really looking at Amon-Ra. I don't value him as much as those other 3. But, man, my dude Ashton Janty's sitting here.
Yep.
And he has been my fantasy darling before he was even on a team. And I'm getting... Usually I would agree with you. I'd want the receiver for long term. But here I'm getting a running back coming in. No NFL carries. Ton of college work. But
for sure,
I'm getting all of his NFL career early on. He projects as a top 10 back in fantasy almost every year. He's in a great situation in Vegas. Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. Raheem Mostert's the only other back that's going to affect his workload. And I'm not scared of that. Raheem Mostert, 31, 32 years old.
It doesn't matter.
I am going to take the rookie Ashton Janty and hope I can get a solid wide receiver on the swing.
You should be able to, but I would have went Neighbors there over Genty, but Genty would have been second on my board for sure. So I look at Genty like it was the year Bijan came out. Like when Bijan came out, he should have went top 5, top 6 in Dynasty startups leagues because of what he was projected to be. And now look where Bijan went. He went 4. In redraft leagues, he can arguably go 1 or 2. So Bijan's that dude this year.
Yeah. So after I picked CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., the other 3 guys that I had in contention for that pick. And then we had Saquon Barkley, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Puka Nacua to round out round 1. And then see a little bit of run of quarterbacks here. Josh Allen, Drake London, Jaden Daniels, Nico Collins, who I was hoping for, Trey McBride, and Lamar Jackson. Putting me on the clock, and Amarian Hampton sitting here. Just pair up the rookie running backs. Our guy, Bucky Irving, still there. Laddie Daddy, the king of catch shit mountain, Ladd McConkey still on the board. And Marvin Harrison. Who
Marv
last year
arguably
was
a first round
going,
pick.
Yeah, top 5. He was the clear 1-1 in rookie drafts. So he's bulked up. He's looking big.
He's looking big, dude.
And Arizona didn't go out and get any real weapons to take away from him. So we're looking similar offense. Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison as the focal points with Michael Wilson as the next guy up. So I think I am going to lean Marvin Harrison because I think he is a prototypical 1, whereas Ladd McConkey, I don't necessarily think he's that. Like I don't think there's a realm where Ladd McConkey could be the wide receiver 1. Like Ladd McConkey, I'm getting a lock stock PPR guy.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
He's a top 15 guy every year. Just but
he also
Marvin
has Trey
Harrison
Harris coming into town. They drafted a receiver in the second round. I'm not saying it's going to take from Ladd. But Marv doesn't really have competition around him.
I'm not worried about Michael Wilson. I am worried about Trey McBride, but Trey McBride...
Oh, yeah, of course.
He doesn't score touchdowns.
For sure.
He just catches a bunch of passes, and he's incredible. You have Trey McBride, you're locked set. Like, I'm loving teammate there, McBride and Neighbors. But I'm gonna take Marvin Harrison and really just start young here. Ashton Janty, Marvin Harrison, those are 2 guys that I adore. So... Ladd McConkey, Amarian Hampton, Joe Burrow, then off the board, putting you up here with your second round pick.
If Marv would have fell to me, he would have been my pick. necessary. I was out on Marv last year at his ADP. I was very open about it, that he was going way too early for my liking, and it panned out the way I kind of seen it happening. But this year, I'm 100% in on Marv. I think he's going to be a top 12 receiver. I think he's going to be a number one.
Yeah,
he's going to show up this year. This is the year that Marv takes off. I'm 100%
early on
you.
here in redraft. He is going in like the third round, late third, early fourth, and I think that's great value for him. And second round in Dynasty, I'll take that, especially if I compare him with Ashton Janty. You got Justin Jefferson. Who you looking at here?
You got Devon Achane, you got Bucky Irving, Breece Hall, but I'm hoping running back on the swing. That's what I'm kind of hoping I can snag one of those guys. So I'm looking at AJ Brown, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Garrett Wilson. I'm leaning Garrett Wilson. He's the third guy on the board, but I know Garrett Wilson can produce consistently, and he's still only 24. He's a year older than JSN, and he's almost 5 years younger than AJ Brown. And I just trust the target share. Like, AJ Brown is a dog. If it was a redraft league, I'm taking AJ Brown 10 out of 10 times over Garrett Wilson. It's not even close. But Garrett Wilson in an offense where now he has Justin Fields, who slings the rock. He could easily be the DJ Moore in this offense, where DJ Moore was a top 12 receiver almost. So I really love JSN this year, but again, it's the quarterback change that I don't really trust. I trust Darnold, but I don't trust him fantasy-wise to produce with JSN because it's really just him. JSN lost Tyler Lockett. He lost DK Metcalf. He's now the one.
Kupp's there.
Yeah, I get that. I get Cooper Kupp's there.
Clean-shaven Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, he looks weird. It's not a vibe. I like Grizzly Bear looking Cooper Kupp.
They also want to run the ball.
For sure.
In Seattle.
Which is scary because Ken Walker came up on the injury report that it's not looking good. And that's just been the story of that guy's career. So we'll get there when we talk fantasy rankings for sure. But yeah, I'm locking in Garrett Wilson here. Huge Garrett Wilson fan. Big supporter.
Yeah. And
I think I can get it back on the swing, and I did.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then the Jets didn't bring anybody in. Like, they lost Devontae Adams. And
it's him. Yep.
Yeah. They drafted Mason Taylor. So, similar situation to Marvin Harrison. You're looking at probably the second target share guy is the tight end. And Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison could follow similar career paths where, like, both have been really hyped, and they haven't necessarily lived up to that hype so far. In Garrett Wilson's case, Marv only played a year. But Garrett Wilson's still incredibly productive in fantasy, especially with the amount of targets he sees. So he could target hog his way to a good fantasy season, even if it's looks lackluster on the box score.
Last year was like people aren't talking about it, but Garrett Wilson went on a stretch from like week 5 to whenever Adams showed up. Yeah. But last season he finished with 101 catches, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns. Those are all career highs. So like Garrett Wilson's coming off statistically the greatest season he has had. He finished wide receiver 10 in a full point PPR league. Yeah. I think he could redo that again with Fields, dude, if not a little bit better.
I am very in on Garrett Wilson in Dynasty and redraft. So I do like that pick. You got a nice little wide receiver stack going here with Jefferson and Wilson, and one of your running backs did fall to you. So which one are you looking at here?
I really can't go Breece Hall because I'm not going to handcuff myself with 2 Jets. So I'm going to go Bucky Irving. But if I didn't have Garrett Wilson, I think I would lean Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall is more of a 3-down back. It might not necessarily be this year, but I think they're going to eventually lean Breece Hall. I was a big fan of Breece Hall coming out of college. I think he can eventually get back to that 3-down every kind of back. When they do that with Bucky Irving in Tampa, he dies. He'll show up on the injury report for sure. He's leaving the stadium walking like a mummy, dude.
You don't want your boy Christian McCaffrey?
Here's a little bit too early in Dynasty, dog. In redrafts, though, I'd be taking him 100% of the time.
Yeah. Okay.
Bucky Irving, no, for sure. He's 23, dude. McCaffrey's almost 30. That's a 7-year gap. And like I said, I'm not looking for multiple years out of running backs. I know I can get 3 to 4 years out of Bucky Irving. I might not even be able to get 1 out of McCaffrey, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. After you went with Bucky Irving, Travis Hunter, Jalen Hurts, and Tedoroa McMillan.
I think that's a little early for Hunter. I'm not going to lie. I think I wouldn't have taken him over JSN or T. Higgins.
Yeah.
Even Devontae Smith. But I think Devontae Smith is a extremely underrated dynasty receiver.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick, but I don't necessarily
I
hate
get
it
it.
if
I
you're
get it.
buying on the
Yeah.
upside.
Uh-huh.
But you could have had the stack with Burrow with Burrow and Higgins
Exactly.
long
For the
term.
next 3-4 years. Yep.
Yeah. The Bengals are a mess though, so I
Oh,
also
dude, it's
understand
disgusting.
shying away from them. I was actually really hoping for Jalen Hurts here, locking a quarterback. So Jackson Smith and Jigba still on the board. I
Hmm.
can get the Ohio State boys, get me a possession guy, which I turned down in round 1 and 2. Lad McConkey in the second, Amon Ra in the first. But as my receiver two, I don't hate having that kind of player there to
Hmm.
pair with Marvin Harrison. I'm iffy on
What's
all
your
the
what's your,
running.
real quick? What's your take on Rome Odunze for people not watching or listening or not? Well,
Um,
if you're not listening, you're not watching. You're not listening to that
yeah,
question. But
just
if you're not
watching on mute.
watching,
Just
I
want to
see
see the
Rome's
picks.
name there. So what do you think of
Um,
Rome this year? Because he didn't have a phenomenal rookie
yeah,
season,
he
but he's
he did
still a
not
top 10
live up.
pick.
I like Romadudze, and like he's
I
a guy I'm
agree. I
targeting
agree.
late in redraft. I wouldn't take him over Devonta Smith, who's still on the board,
Oh no, for sure not.
and I wouldn't take him over Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'd probably take T Higgins over him as well, but
Hmm.
same range as Higgins.
A lot of those guys.
But
Like,
I would have Smith and Jigba and Devonta Smith in the highest tier here, the
I
wide
agree.
receivers available.
But
A lot
like
of
real
running.
quick though, Rome, he had 100 targets last year. Keenan
Mhm.
Allen's now gone.
Yep.
Colston Loveland might not even be ready until the start of minicamp because of the shoulder injury. Luther Burton's already coming up. That like Ben Johnson seems aggravated with him that he's not consistently on the field yet. So if you take away Keenan Allen's targets and you give some of them to Rome,
Yep.
he finished with 700 yards last year. It's 1,000 yards isn't out of the question, and I think he's gonna have way more than 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Caleb
No.
Caleb Williams' rookie season was abysmal. I think it's going to be
Yeah.
completely different in the touchdown category.
Yeah.
Rome,
Yeah.
Rome could push 8-10 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think Rome is looking at pushing 1,000. Like his stats
I
here
agree.
projected for this year are 906. I don't hate
Yeah,
that. I think that's a good year. I actually think he gets
for
a little
sure.
closer to 1,000 yards, like not 950, 975.
Mm-hmm.
They have Jackson Smith and Jigba under 1,000 yards. I think he
Which
hits
is
the mark
crazy.
this year.
For sure.
But I am going to go with Devonta Smith. I'm going to go with the higher powered
Great pick.
offense and the quarterback I trust. That's what ultimately it's coming down to.
For sure.
I don't trust Sam Darnold long term. And then if Sam Darnold's not the answer, Jalen Milroe's the next man up, and that dude is a wild card. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how that affects Jackson Smith and Jigba, whereas Jalen Hurts, lock, stock, quarterback, he has good rapport with both his guys and A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith. And there's really nothing after them. There's not like Jahan Dotson. I'm not worried about him. Dallas Goedert, he's starting to age out. So
Mm-hmm.
Devonta Smith is the clear number 2 weapon in this offense, passing game wise. So that's where I'm going to go with Devonta Smith to pair with Marvin Harrison and Ashton Jeanty.
He is technically the number 2, but when you like break down how much he's targeted on like first read options underneath, he's targeted as a number 1 receiver statistic wise. So they use him as a number 1 receiver, but he's the number 2 receiver in his offense. But like, I think it was, he averaged like yards per target was right there with CeeDee Lamb. He had stuff with Jamar Chase. Like, he's a number 1 receiver in the NFL. So I'm really happy you took Smith there, dude, because I know last year you weren't incredibly high on Devontae Smith, but
I
he's
mean,
so consistent. He's so good, dude.
I was really out on Philadelphia in general last year.
Yeah,
so,
for sure. Yeah.
After I took Devonta, JSN finally off the board, and then
Brees
a run
Hall.
on running backs, which I hated because I was
For
hoping
sure.
for one of them. Brees Hall, Kyron Williams, Christian McCaffrey, Travion Henderson, Jonathan Taylor to round out the third round. And then Rashee Rice, Roma Dunze, Josh Jacobs, Quinshon Judkins, Chase Brown, and Sam Laporta. And that's leaving me back on. Zay Flowers is here. He's the number 1 in his offense, but you're not going to get a ton of touchdown production from him.
I kind of think Zay Flowers has, I'm not going to say he's reached his ceiling, but I think this is what Zay Flowers is. I think he's a low-end number 2 receiver in fantasy football.
Yeah.
And that's no shot at him. Like, he's an amazing, talented football player. But like you said, dude, like his touchdowns are not there.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar Jackson had 40 touchdowns last year, and Zay Flowers only had 4. So, what happened?
Yeah. Running backs, James Cook's here. Love James Cook, but real sticky situation in Buffalo. He kind of wants out. He did show up to camp, but long-term
He has
wise,
to show up. Yeah,
is he even in Buffalo in the future?
probably not.
And then I'm getting a guy who I don't know where he ends up, and I don't like the open-endedness there. Kenneth Walker, the injuries kind of keeping me away from him. So I'm pretty much locked in on two guys, and it's my dude, Caleb Johnson. Get me another rookie running back with Ashton Jeanty, or just taking the old man in Derrick Henry and try to hope that Marv breaks out, Jeanty's as good as I think he's going to be, and then get Derrick Henry and make a championship run here and figure out running back future-wise later. And I think that's the route I'm going to go, because I have my young running back, so I can get an aging vet, and if I'm the guy who gets Derrick Henry and he flames out, so be it. He's my RB2. But I could potentially have a top 3 running back. Derrick Henry still has that upside touchdown. Like, Sleeper's got it projected this year for 1,500 yards and 13 touchdowns, and that's not crazy. That is completely reasonable. So here in the 4th round, I'm going to take the aging Derrick Henry to pair with Ashton Jeanty to give me at least a potentially reliable running back.
The oldest guy in your team was 26, and that's Devontae Smith. So, like, you have gone young guys, but you're still also pushing championship contender with Jeanty, Marv, who's going to pan out most likely this year, Devontae Smith, who's super consistent, and then Derrick Henry, who, like you said, the next 2 years, he got re-signed. So the next 2 years, he's Baltimore's running back. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Derrick Henry's going to be a dog for the next 2 years fantasy regardless. So I love that pick.
Yeah. Team 5, after me, they went McLaren. Interesting team they got going on there with McLaren, McMillan, Lad McConkey, and Brock Bowers. No running backs. T. Higgins after that, and then James Cook putting you on the board. Who you looking at here to pair with? Bucky Irving, Garrett Wilson, and Justin Jefferson.
Caleb Johnson, for sure. You brought him up. He is a guy that I am really leaning towards for sure. None of the receivers are really sticking. Abuka's here. I like Abuka, but I would take Caleb Johnson over him.
Tyreek Hill?
No.
No? Okay.
No, definitely not.
Jalen Waddle?
Unfortunately, no. The tight ends are also in like that different tier of group. We got Tyler Warren, George Kittle, who's a little bit older. Colston Loveland, who I like, but it's a little bit early. And I like Bo Nix as the quarterback. I like him a lot. I like him more than Patrick Mahomes in Dynasty. But I think it's a round too early because there's only 5 quarterbacks taken so far. Yeah, so I'm gonna pull the trigger here with Caleb Johnson.
Over your guy, RJ Harvey?
He's 3 years younger than RJ Harvey.
Okay, you go with you. That's smart. I would have taken Caleb Johnson over RJ Harvey anyway. I just know Harvey's your guy.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren's going to be on the field because he's an amazing pass blocker. So like, he's going to be on the field regardless. But even if Caleb Johnson gets what Najee had, he's going to be amazing. And any running back drafted in the day 1 or day 2, if they get 220 opportunities combined, rushing or passing, they finished as top 25 backs. Caleb Johnson's going to get that in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and so Jalen Warren probably not there next year.
Exactly.
So
then it just becomes
back, and they're going to have to run the ball. They got to protect Rodgers somehow, at least this year. And then going forward, Caleb Johnson's going to be whoever his quarterback is, whether it's Will Howard or they draft a guy in 2026. He's going to be their best friend. RJ Harvey and Xavier Worthy next up off the board, putting you back on. You're really building a running back tandem for me with Caleb Johnson and Bucky Irving. Those are big Theo guys. And Jefferson and Wilson. So you kind of open here. You can do whatever you want. You can go quarterback. You can then start looking at your flex spot. What you looking for here?
I am going to go one of my flex spots, and he's a little bit down on the receiver board, and it might be a round too early, but he's probably not going to be there on the swing. I'm going to go Jamison Williams, wide receiver, Detroit. I've been a fan since Alabama. He's that guy. I think Detroit's offense opens up a little bit differently now this season, and they're going to be airing the ball, and I think Jamison Williams, he's a guy that can win you a week. There are games that he's going to have 200 yards of receiving and 2 touchdowns, but only like 3 catches. And I'm fine with that because he's my number 3 receiver. So he's a guy that I can just plug in there, and if he kind of shits the bed, Justin Jefferson and Garrett Wilson are going to carry me regardless. But there are going to be weeks where Jamison Williams outscores both of those guys. So I'm going to go Jamison Williams.
Jamison Williams would have been my pick.
Nice.
So he was not getting back around to you, and it's not updating on my thing. I know you picked Jamison Williams. Come on.
Oh, good podcasting.
Gotta love technology here. Maybe if I want to stop sharing.
But yeah, I think as we try to figure this out, I think Detroit's offense is going to be a little bit different this year. They're still going to be doing a lot of the same stuff, but Ben Johnson's not there. And they brought in the guy that was in Detroit before, but it's going to be different. It's going to be open. They've already come out and said that they want to air the ball out deeper, farther down the field. Jared Goff has the arm to do it. Jamison Williams has the speed to absolutely shred a defense. So I think that's a locked and loaded pick.
All right. After Jamison Williams, Kenneth Walker off the board, Zay Flowers, and Chuba Hubbard, putting me on the clock here. Okay, so I got Derrick Henry and Ashton Jeanty at running back, Marvin Harrison, and
you can also
Smith.
go pretty much anywhere for sure.
Yeah. None of the quarterbacks went, so I'm gonna
now we got sound.
Shy away from that. Yeah, because there's still value here. Caleb, Drake May, like I'd probably lean Drake May. I think I have him higher than those guys on my rankings. Yeah, younger, better athlete.
Whoa.
Yeah, hey, Bo's a good athlete, but Drake May, that's my guy. So, running backs also not loving. Wide receivers, my guy DJ Moore still here. Emeka Egbuka, I think this.
I think there's a lot of talent in the receiver room for sure.
Yeah, Chris Olave, if I want to take the shot on the injured player, but I'm gonna be a homer.
Dude, that could be so worth it, dude. Olave, if he pans out, dude. Oh,
that's
God.
true. And I could take the risk with Smith and Harrison. The guy I was leaning towards was Jordan Addison. He's
Reasonable.
been a top 24 wide receiver both years, despite never hitting 1,000 yards in either season. He's hit double-digit touchdowns both years. So I don't like relying on a touchdown, but he's been productive in an offense that has Justin Jefferson, and that is huge. He's not. So I would have the number one and the number two in Philly and the number two in Minnesota, but both guys have produced. And Jordan Addison has slid in nicely when Jefferson was hurt, and he played like a wide receiver one.
Yeah.
So,
he might have just talked himself back into your boy.
No,
Addison.
Chris Olave. It's
Chris Olave is as young as Jordan Addison.
Yeah,
they're literally like a couple months apart.
Like I've loved Chris Olave coming out. I think he's an incredible talent. He is the clear-cut wide receiver one in New Orleans.
For sure.
Kellen
They're
Moore
almost like the opposite receiver. Like Olave's never been a huge touchdown guy.
Yeah.
But he just eats up everything. And Jordan Addison's just, I'm going to take the top off your offense.
Yeah.
Or your defense.
So I am going to go Addison because I don't have that home run hitter. I have Marv, who could be like wide receiver one, just productive across the board. And Devonta Smith as just like my good, safe floor guy. I don't really have a guy who could put up 40 points in a week. And I think Jordan Addison has that upside. So
he is Jamison Williams. They're the same guy.
I am going to be a homer, and I'm going to take Jordan Addison.
I like going for the stars there because Chris Olave, when he plays, he's just a really safe, consistent wide receiver. He never goes for 200 like Jamison Williams has. Jordan Addison's done it before. Are you hoping for Mike Evans?
No, Chris Olave almost made it back to me. So it would have really worked out for me there.
For sure.
After I went Addison, Emeka Egbuka off the board, Patrick Mahomes, Tyler Warren, DJ Moore, Colston Loveland, and Joe Mixon to round out round 5. Tyreek Hill, Bo Nix, George Kittle, Matthew Golden, Chris Olave, and Mike Evans to start off round 6. Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren, I was kind of hoping one of them would make it back to me, get one of those young tight ends. Unfortunately, that did not happen. Hawkinson, Kincaid, Andrews, Pitts. I'm no thank you. I will punt the position and hope to get someone later.
If I can get 1 year out of a tight end, I'm happy. Like in Dynasty, I'm not looking at a tight end for multiple years.
Yep.
It's literally way less years than I'm looking at a running back. If I can get 1 to 2 years out of a tight end, I'll be extremely happy. So I'm not trying to pick one early, unless it's Brock Bowers or Trey McBride. Those guys are absolutely game-changing guys at their position. They will lap the field at the tight end position. Anyone after that can be like, they're all kind of in the same bucket in my head.
Yep. Yeah. Kittle would have been nice. I think Kittle is closer to McBride
around 6,
and,
sure. Yeah.
And Bowers than he is these other guys.
I agree. The problem is that Kittle's 31 and he's a little bit banged up constantly here and there, so it is what it is. But I love Kittle this year for sure.
Yeah, I am going to look at my quarterback now. We got a little bix of a run. Mahomes and Bo Nix
taking Drake.
Yeah, so Drake May, like I said, on the board. He is in my top 5 for quarterbacks for Dynasty. I love Drake May. I think he is going to be a superstar, and I like him more than Caleb Williams. Despite the fact Caleb Williams has Ben Johnson, I just think Drake May brings this extra element of athleticism that I just like if you told me Drake May would have 6 rushing touchdowns, 6 to 10, I'd believe you.
For sure.
I don't think Caleb gets that sort of touchdown production on the ground. So I'm going to go with my guy, Drake May, like CJ Stroud, pocket passer, Justin Herbert, pocket passer, run first team.
Yep.
Caleb is really the only quarterback I'm considering here, sans Drake May, but I'm going to bank on the upside and live and die by my guy. That's Drake May.
Yeah, if Drake May was there, I was going to pick him. He was the only quarterback left in the tier that I had left. I tier draft. Drake May was alone in that tier left, so that's a phenomenal pick. At this point now, all the other quarterbacks are just kind of here.
Yep. George Pickens, DK Metcalf, and David Montgomery follow, putting you on the clock here. I did consider Pickens and Metcalf, but I already have a boom bust guy in Jordan Addison. I didn't want to pair that up with one of those guys as well, because they're similar.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I have 2 really, really young running backs in Bucky Irving and Caleb Johnson. And Caleb Johnson might not be the starting running back come week 1. It might be Jalen Warren. So I'm taking a guy who's 29, but he's going to produce because he produces every single year he's on the field, and it's Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara gives me a locked-in RB2 with Bucky Irving if Caleb Johnson is not ready to go week 1 because he's a rookie and he's the backup. I'm just looking at guys that can start now, so Alvin Kamara, I could probably get 2 years out of him, and I'd be happy with that.
Alvin Kamara, somehow always a value every year in fantasy.
Sure. Every year. And I mean, back in his prime, dude, he was going round 1. He was going where he should have been going.
But like the last 3 to 4 years, everyone's just been trying to be like, oh, he's going to flame out. And he still just produces, even if it's not efficient producing, he's still producing. So that is a good safe floor. Even if you do get a year out of him, you can. Yeah.
6 out of his 8 years, he has finished as a top 10 running back. So I will happily take that every year for Alvin.
And they're going to need him in New Orleans.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, those Hawkinson, 2 years, real quick, those 2 years he wasn't a top 10 back. He finished 11 and 16. So Alvin Kamara is every single year consistent.
Yep. Yeah. And every year, the last couple of years, he's just been, you can get him in the running back dead zone, and it's a great value.
Sure. 100%.
TJ Hawkinson, CJ Stroud next off the board, putting you back on the clock.
All right, so the team after me, there's only 2 teams after me that don't have quarterbacks, or besides me that don't have quarterbacks. So I'm going to chill because I'm happy with, honestly, I'd be fine with Caleb, Herbert, Mayfield, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy.
JJ McCarthy.
I don't want to start him this year.
Stack him with JJ, baby. The JJs.
If I could get McCarthy as my backup, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I don't want him as my starter this year. I could not trust that.
Yeah.
All right. So, kind of like what I did with Alvin Kamara, I'm going to try to make a run here. And I'm looking at the receiver board, and I'm like, Waddle's a little iffy. Jerry Judy's a little iffy. Ayuk's never going to be on the field. Devontae Adams could be a top 12 wide receiver this year with Matt Stafford as his quarterback, Sean McVay as his head coach, Puka Nakuka eating all the coverage, And you will not hear me say an ill word about Devontae Adams. He is an amazing athlete, one of the best receivers I've ever seen play the game. I'm locking in Devontae Adams. Here's my pick.
Yeah.
As my number 4 wide receiver.
Yeah. As you know, I was out on Devontae Adams last year. I thought he was going to hit the wall.
Reasonable.
So I'm back in, baby.
Hell yeah, baby.
Devontae's always been like one of my guys. Like he always fell to me every year in our redraft leagues, and I was always taking him. I think every year I've won our home league, Devontae Adams has been on my roster. Like he's my good luck charm. So I do love that pick there. He would have been in consideration here for me. After you went Adams, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, and Caleb Williams off the board. So the tight ends, I'm like I said previously, there's
still not it, dude.
None are here that are making me like, yeah, that guy, lock and load. Like I could wait and fall into Mason Taylor, Evan Ingram, David Njoku, even maybe an aging Mark Andrews 3 rounds from now. So
I think Mark Andrews has super high touchdown percent this year. Last year was his career high in touchdowns. He had 11 touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
It's only the second time he's ever had double digits. He's not going to be consistent catching the ball or getting yards, but he's going to be getting a ton of touchdowns in Baltimore's offense. That's how it goes.
I'm looking at 2 guys, and it's Jalen Waddle.
I like that.
The talent is still there.
For sure.
I'm not overly scared of him like everybody seems to be. I know his production has gone down every year, but I still believe in the talent. And the other one is taking an aging James Conner, who I think is clearly the best running back available.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's for this year. I think James Conner is going to outproduce everybody here. But I really don't want my RB3 and my RB2 to be aging guys where I'm missing out. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to finish out my flex spot, and I'm going to buy in on the talent of Jalen Waddle. I like him more than Jaden Reed, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk, Luther Burden. I think the only guy I would teeter with him would be my guy, Jaden Higgins.
Yeah, I would be looking...
Jaden Higgins and Josh Downs would be the other guys I'd be looking at.
Dude, Josh Downs is I agree. I'm really high on Josh Downs.
Yeah,
for sure.
Josh Downs, quarterback is Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson, who's hurt again, same shoulder. So that is a scary situation.
Yeah.
And it's a muddled room. Michael Pittman's still there. Tyler Warren now brought in. Jonathan Taylor. Like they can go a ton of ways. Whereas it's Jalen Waddle, it's Tyreek Hill, it's Devon Achane. That is the focal point of this offense. Jonnu Smith, they want to get rid of him, and he wants more money.
They want to get rid of him. They don't want to pay him what he wants. Yeah. And Arthur Smith is like, go get my guy. Get my guy. I want him.
Go get him. Go get my dude. But yeah, I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle here, round out my flex spots. And
I love that pick.
I got a nice little receiving crew. Marvin Harrison, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Jalen Waddle. 3 number 2s, but they're all potentially, like, I think, like, if you told me next year that Jalen Waddle had a better season than Tyreek Hill, I don't think that's fully crazy.
I really like both, but yeah, Tyreek he's coming off a wrist injury, and he's catching balls now, so he's ahead of schedule. He wasn't supposed to be catching balls until later, a couple months from now, or a month or 2. I really like Waddle, though. I like Tyreek. I like both those guys this year. I think the Dolphins are going to have a decent offensively funded team this year. It's going to be nowhere close to what it was last year.
Yeah. So after Waddle, Cam Scattaboo, Isaiah Pacheco, Jaden Higgins, Tyrone Tracy, Brandon Ayuk, James Conner round out the round. Then Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift, Ricky Pearsall, Justin Herbert, Zach Charbonnet, and Brian Robinson Jr. So running backs kind of went. I would have considered B-Rob and Swift and Conner again. So I know I said I didn't want to pair my aging running back with an aging running back. Aaron Jones still on the board here.
See, at this point, you kind of have to bite the bullet on one of the older guys.
I think if I bite the bullet on one of them, it's going to be Tony Pollard. I just don't think Tyjae Spears is capable of being the one and even pushing Pollard out of that role. He can't stay healthy, his knees. And last year they said, oh, we want to do a 50-50 split, and it still went mostly Pollard. And I know they came out and again said, oh, we want to split the backfield. Tony Pollard to me is just a superior player to Tyjae Spears.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Etienne, I don't really want to get involved with the Jaguars backfield.
Hey, man, I kind of really like Travis Etienne for where he's getting drafted this year.
In redraft, yes, but I don't want to piggyback on him in Dynasty, not knowing what his future is. Where like Tony Pollard, I'm getting 2 years from him in Tennessee.
Yeah,
and Travis,
you're getting
Etienne,
2 years out of Aaron Jones probably too in Minnesota. He signed a 2-year deal.
Yeah, but I think Tony Pollard is a better option on a team that wants to run the ball, whereas Minnesota, they brought in Jordan Mason, so I don't know how much involvement he has. I think he has more involvement than Tyjae Spears does in affecting the starter.
I think Etienne with Dave Cohen, is that his name?
Liam
Cohen. I think he's going to be the Rachaad White of this offense. And it's not going to be the 2 years ago Rachaad White where he finished the RB4. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
I want last year Rachaad White offense.
I get that, but Rachaad White last year only had 600 yards rushing. He finished his RB22. He finished as a starting running back in fantasy football with only 600 yards on the ground. Etienne almost had 600 yards on the ground last year. If not, he had more. He had 558. I think Etienne could easily finish as a top 25 back this year.
Okay, but
I'm not telling you to pick him or anything, but
I don't know. The bringing in of Tootin and Tank Bigsby being there, it's just too cluttered for me to want to bank on one of those guys.
Reasonable.
And I might have just talked myself out at running backs and just gonna. Regardless, I'm taking a bench player, so Josh Downs is still here. And I like Josh Downs more than I like one of the running backs on the board. Well, I also probably would rather Jaden Reed than one of those guys. So, yep, yeah. Talked myself out of the running backs. They just all gross me out. So I'm going to take the bench guy. I'm going to take Josh Downs and hope the Colts figure out the quarterback situation. And if they don't, I have a really good bench player who could high volume his way into production despite the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Like Josh Downs could be Wan'Dale Robinson and just get a ton of catches for Daniel Jones.
Sure. Sure.
Travis Etienne, Mark Andrews, Dalton Kincaid off the board, putting you up with your pick here in the 8th round, halfway through the draft.
Yeah, so I was really hoping you didn't take Jaden Reed because that's probably where I'm going.
Okay.
I like to have 4 young wide receivers. Well, I have 3 young receivers and Devontae Adams, who's a superstar. So this gives me the replacement for Devontae Adams whenever he leaves, or even if Jamison Williams happens to not explode like I think he's going to. And Jaden Reed can do that as well. We've seen it a couple times last year in Green Bay where he finishes the wide receiver 1, the wide receiver 2 on the week. He can have 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in a single game just based off the way they use him, or he could have 0 catches. That's Jaden Reed in Green Bay's offense because there's so much talent to go around.
Yeah, and
it's hard to consistently.
He's the most talented receiver in the room, even with
it's
Matthew
not
Golden
even close
there.
in my eyes, to be honest.
Him and Golden are the locks. They're the only ones I'm really looking at in Dynasty. Christian Watson probably not playing much this year, if at all, and then he's probably not even going to be there after that. And then Romeo Doubs just doesn't have enough production for me to look his way. So in Dynasty and Redraft, it's Golden and Reed for me, with Reed being up. Even in Dynasty, I would take Jaden Reed over Matthew Golden. I know Golden went here before Reed, but I would value Reed over Golden. But I still think Jaden Reed is an incredibly talented, and he's a manufactured touch guy for Jordan Love, and he's going to see his work. And like you said, he has this potential to put up wide receiver 1 numbers in any given week. For and sure. He's going to be your wide receiver 5 bench player. So
yeah, even Adams is on my bench, so I'll happily take both those guys.
Okay, yeah.
And
before you pick here in the 9th, let's shout out our sponsors. First up, Findlay hats. big hat guy over here, and Findlay Hats, they're creating hats for good times, and they're unlike any other hat on the planet. They got the little secret pocket on the inside. They got these cool laces that you can strap to your head, keep your hat nice and snug and secure. They also stylish. You can buy different colored laces and different pennants to put there as well. So they're really neat, good hats, high quality, lifetime warranty. So if your hat is damaged or destroyed, they'll replace it or repair it completely free. And you could join the Findlay Force. And if you click the link provided in the description of the episode, first-time buyers will get a nice 15% off their purchase. So check out our friends over at Findlay Hats. High quality stuff. They have mystery boxes, beanies, dad hats, snapbacks, flash drops every Friday. They have some cool hats. They dropped a horror line recently. I have some coming in the mail, so you'll be seeing them once I get that product as well. And then, of course, the OG Dubby Energy, jitter-free, crash-free, no sugars, no artificial colors or dyes, no calories. They have a collab with the Anime of the Year, Solo Leveling, and they do stuff with other content creators as well. Ton of unique flavors, so check them out. Like I said, Dubby, they pride themselves on 100% full transparency and ingredient disclosure. Dubby.gg is their website, or you can download their mobile app. Just search Dubby in your Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. And of course, use the code DRAFTITUP. You'll get a 10% discount. That's on any purchase. It's not just for your first time purchase. It's any purchase you made. Be better. Eat that dub with Dubby Energy.
Hell yeah, Dubby. Was shouting out Dubby today at work to a couple co-workers. So hell yeah, eat that dub. All right, so yeah, I'm also looking at the same two guys TJ was looking at with his last two picks. I'm not gonna lie, it's Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones. I'm just gonna keep adding to these running backs and receivers because there are still these handful of quarterbacks here: Baker, Jordan Love, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy. I'd be happy with any of those guys as my starter for the next couple years. And like I said, tight ends really don't matter to me. We still got Kyle Pitts, we got Tucker Kraft, David Njoku, Travis Kelce still here, who I can get one season out. Jonnu Smith of Miami, we shouted out him. And we still got a couple younger guys under them and Evan Ingram and whatnot. So these onesie positions, I'm fine still waiting when I know I can get Tony Pollard or Aaron Jones, who's going to produce the next 2 years for a team that I only have 3 running backs. One of them's a rookie, one of them's Alvin Kamara, who's aging. And Bucky Irving, he's undersized, so we don't really know what Bucky's window is. It might be a lot shorter than we kind of think. So I'm going to go with Tony Pollard. I think he's going to be more involved in his offense. You guys brought in Jordan Mason. You played both your running backs. Yeah, they have Spears, but I really don't see him as an every down back. Tony Pollard's going to be the every down back for this year and most likely next season. So I'm locking in Tony Pollard. Yeah. I was honestly looking Trey Harris, though. He went the pick before me.
All right.
Just to keep adding to the receivers.
Yeah, after you went Pollard, Khalil Shakir, Baker Mayfield, and David Njoku off the clock. Off the board.
Off the clock.
Off the clock.
I wish I was off the clock.
Yeah. Aaron Jones still here, so that is probably where I'm leaning. I love Trey Benson as a talent. He's still available, but the Cardinals paid James Conner, and I don't know how much involvement Trey Benson... Like, when James Conner phases out, Trey Benson could be in year 3 or 4. How committed are they after that with him? I brought up Bashal Tootin and Tank Bigsby as potentially the guys in Jacksonville, but they're both still there. Like, and
what about Javonte Williams?
Too much. That I was going to bring. He was the other guy I'm looking at. It's Javonte Williams
just
and Aaron Jones.
Just on the chance that he's finally healthy, and there's a chance he just breaks out, and then you still have the little bit upside to where I don't think Aaron Jones has any bit of upside left. Like, he's just going to be consistently what he is.
He had his best season of his career in
I
terms
get
of
that.
touches.
Exactly.
Year, which is wild.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, Javonte Williams' his name I was going to bring up, younger, and he's going to be the back in Dallas most likely. Rico Dowdle was incredibly productive there. But do they re-sign him even if he is productive, has a 1,000-yard season? I don't know if he's necessarily back. So regardless, I might be looking at just a 1-year rental, whether it be Javonte Williams or Aaron Jones. So
he's 5 years younger, though.
Yeah, but if I'm leaning
still
on just
only 25.
If I'm leaning on just 1 year, I would bank on Aaron Jones this year over Javonte Williams. Long-term wise, I would easily go with Javonte, especially if he did if he does have the 1,000-yard season and Dallas re-ups him, I'm looking at a back I can get 3 seasons out of for fantasy, whereas I'm not getting that from Aaron Jones. I'm at best
I
getting
agree.
2. Jadon Blue being over him, I don't like that. Jadon Blue is
It's disgusting.
Straight pass catching back. I don't think he's carrying any sort of role. Najee Harris is here too, but
Najee's consistent. He's good.
I don't know.
For sure.
I don't know what sort of role Najee has outside of LA next year.
I agree. It's a complete question mark, and it's the same with Javonte. But like, Javante's still like 25. Like I said, he's a year older than RJ Harvey, who is a rookie in the NFL this season.
Yeah.
Like, Javante's still super young. He came in young. He got hurt. And if he's finally healthy, dude, we've seen what he did in college. He was a monster. So I'm interested. I'm very interested in Javonte Williams this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me as well. I think Javonte has the upside to be RB2, just like Rico Dowdle was.
I agree.
And I think that's where I'm going to go, because I don't want 2 age outbacks on my roster in Derrick Henry and Aaron Jones. So I'll try to go with the youth. I'll buy into the hype that Javonte Williams was once a dynasty darling and was going top 5 drafts. And I'm going to pair him as my RB3 here with Derrick Henry.
The run on the onesies are going, and I'm now screwed.
Oh, you might be starting JJ McCarthy, brother.
No, he went. He went. I'm a little bit ahead of you on my phone.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow. Oh, yeah, there he is, JJ McCarthy.
Okay, I'm not going to lie to everybody. I was really hoping for Kyler Murray. He was my quarterback. I was pulling for it. And I waited too long. And now we have the example of what happens when you just keep pushing back quarterback.
Yeah.
But I was really pulling for Kyler Murray. He was the guy I kept eyeing up.
Going 2 QBs wild. I understand it more in Dynasty, though. Like, I would very rarely 100%. Go 2 QB in redraft.
Yeah.
But Dynasty, I'm getting these guys forever, so I'm going to want a quarterback. So after I went Javonte, Jordan Love, Tucker Kraft, Kyler Murray, Aaron Jones, Kyle Pitts, and Keon Coleman go. And then start of round 10 here, Deebo Samuel, Cam Ward, JJ McCarthy, Trey Benson, Najee Harris, and Jack Besh. Putting me back up. Don't worry, I'm not going to take a quarterback, Nick. So,
thank God, because I'm not going to lie to you, there's really only one I'm looking at.
Just one? So, quarterbacks on the board, you hate Brock
Purdy.
For
starting quarterback this year, for sure. I don't want Penix as my starter. Goff can start for sure, but he's not the guy, dude. Trevor Lawrence could be fun this year.
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy's the safest guy here, for sure.
Dak Prescott's still there.
Is Dak still there?
Yeah, Dak's still here.
Oh,
he's
we're
down
cooking,
there.
Baby. I'm punting this position. We're gold.
I'm still punting it. As Nick's picking Anthony Richardson and hoping he starts.
Oh, him and Jalen Milroe, baby. One of them will go off.
All right, so Cooper Kupp's still here, and
dog.
I kind of love that. I think Cooper Kupp's gonna have a nice little year in Seattle, and he would be a 1-2 year guy for my team.
Mm-hmm.
And I really don't have that sturdy floor wide receiver. I mean, I have Devonta Smith, but I'm banking on Waddle still being what I think he is, the upside of Jordan Addison and Marvin Harrison coming into his own. So if I do go wide receiver, it's probably Cooper Kupp, but tight end Travis Kelce, do I want to take the year on him? And
hey man, that's a fun what if. What if Travis Kelce becomes Travis Kelce again this year, and you get a top 2 tight end?
Mm-hmm.
In the 10th round of the Dynasty League?
I'm checking out because I have Waddle, so I don't want too many shares of the Miami offense. And I really don't want Jonnu if they move him. Like, I'm only interested in Jonnu if he's with the Dolphins.
Especially if he goes to Pittsburgh, dude. I'd be so out on him. Yeah. Him and Pat Freiermuth, none of them are going to see fantasy relevance.
I really like Isaiah Likely. Evan Ingram's still here. Dude. All the Arroyo, Ferguson, and Mason Taylor all still here, rookie-wise. So, yeah, I'm going to...
I think Isaiah Likely is a really good get here. Just based off of what he did last year. He could still do that again this year, even if Mark Andrews is there. Mm-hmm. But then come next season, Mark Andrews probably isn't going to be there. But I know
none of the Ravens tight ends under contract next year.
But they're going to be able to get Likely cheaper than they would be able to pay Mark Andrews, whatever.
I don't know. I think a team would want to.
I think likely then he's going to get paid regardless by a team, so he's going to be good there.
Yeah.
So if he gets paid by Baltimore, if he gets paid a bunch by somebody else, if you have Baltimore's tight end, dude, and he's 25, that's the year tight ends break out. The 25th year season, 25 year.
Yeah.
I think likely he's going to be well drafted above this range come next season.
Yeah, I agree with that. That might be where I go, but there's a lot of depth still at tight end that I like.
There's a couple guys that'd be perfectly fine starting.
Did Cooper Kupp go? Did I just miss him? Did I've been talking him up? Oh no, he's still here. Okay.
No, Cooper Kupp's still here. He's under Jacoby Myers.
Cooper Kupp, and then I keep bringing up Tootin and Tank Bigsby. Both are still here. So
Tootin.
I honestly will likely take one of them at some point if they're both available. One of them's available. I'm just kind of waiting for one of them to go.
One of them to go?
Yeah, and then that's the one that's still there. The latest is the one I want.
Reasonable.
If I go that route, because then I'm using a later pick, and if they don't work out, they don't work out. So
I think Cooper Kupp has a better season than Calvin Ridley.
I don't know, but
they're close in age. Ridley's 30, Kupp's 31.
I'm going. I think Cooper Kupp's more talented. Calvin Ridley's just never been
for sure.
Consistent. He's so inconsistent, and he's got the rookie quarterback. Not that Cooper Kupp's situation's much better with Sam Darnold, but I'm not looking at Michael Pittman because I have Josh Downs. Jalen McMillan's intriguing, but that is
I wouldn't look at Michael Pittman
receiver.
if I didn't have Josh Downs.
That Jalen McMillan I love, but muddled room. Godwin, Evans, Igbuka there. I know two of them are aging out, but I don't want to be sitting on the potentially fourth receiver of an offense for the time that he does get to play. So I am. Kyle Williams is here. I do love that guy.
Kyle Williams is here.
Yeah, but no, I am going to go with Cooper Kupp. I'm going to get a nice PPR option here on my roster. Oh, Travis Kelce, Jonnu Smith, Michael Pittman off the board after I selected Cooper Kupp. You're up. Are you finally taking a quarterback, or are you gonna wait because team one has CJ Stroud, but a bunch of teams have gone two quarterbacks so far.
See, my question is, do I think they take Isaiah Likely or do I think they take Brock Purdy? Because those are the top two guys on my board.
I don't think they take a tight end.
I agree. So I'm gonna go with Brock Purdy and hope I can get Isaiah Likely on the swing. So we're about to find out all together in live time, everybody. Well, yeah, we got him.
They took Boot, Scoot, and Tootin. Bashaw Tootin and Jalen McMillan there to team one, and Likely falls to you. And I assume that's where you're going.
For sure. Going with Isaiah Likely for all the reasons I said before. Yeah. Regardless if he's in Baltimore next season or somebody else pays him a bunch, he's going to be someone's tight end number one come next season. So I'll lollygag through this season with him and Mark Andrews. It is what it is. But he's still on a crazy high-powered offense. If your quarterback is Lamar Jackson, he's going to put up 30 to 40 touchdowns. Hey, man, hopefully 5-6 of them go to Isaiah Likely.
Yeah. Jadon Blue, Ramondre Stevenson, Calvin Ridley off the board. Following
Ridley and Michael
Pittman
in one team, and Travis Etienne.
Yeah.
What a risky team.
And George Pickens. They're just vibing with these dudes. All right. I said I was going to take Tank Bigsby or Bashaw Tootin, whichever one.
Yep. And
Tank Bigsby is the only Jacksonville Jaguar running back left. So that is where I'm going to go. I'm finally taking him. And I'm going to hope that he is the Bucky Irving. And if there's part of me that believes that Tank Bigsby is the most talented back on this roster.
I completely disagree.
There's part of me
100%
that believes
disagree.
that Etienne and Tootin are the best running backs on this roster.
I firmly believe that Tank Bigsby is the least talented running back on this team.
The problem with Bigsby, he can't catch. So I'm not getting passing work from him. Yeah. But Tootin also had no passing game involvement at Virginia Tech. He also, just like Tank Bigsby, is a fumbling machine. So at this point,
they're one and the same.
I am going to try to get potentially the starting running back in Jacksonville And if it doesn't work out, it's my fourth running back. I'm finally biting the bullet and taking Tank Bigsby. I'm living life on the edge by not taking a tight end like you did with quarterback. So we'll see if one finally falls to me. Jacoby Myers, Jalen Warren, Juwan Jennings, Jake Ferguson, Kyle Williams, Tajay Spears round out round 11. Michael Penix, Xavier Legette, Steph Diggs, Evan Ingram. It's Evan Ingram and Mason Taylor were the two tight ends. I was like, all right, one of them's going to fall to me. They both go with Jalen Knoll sandwiched between
I was
them.
also hoping for Ingram, just because I know I could start Ingram this year over likely, because I think Ingram's going to be a top 5 tight end this season in Denver. I think he's going to be a superstar in fantasy. But it sucks that he went.
Yeah.
Combining him with Likely would be phenomenal. I'd be set at tight end for the next couple
Cade
years.
Otton, I'm not. He doesn't excite me. The top 3 tight ends available: Otton, Freiermuth, Goddard. They don't do anything to move my needle. Terrence Ferguson, great draft capital. Elijah Arroyo as well. So and Bretton Strange, really productive when he's seen the field in Jacksonville, who's used the tight end position a lot. I don't know what involvement he has here with Liam Cohen. We'll see. My guy Ben Sinnott also on the board, but I think if I do go tight end, it's going to be Ferguson or Arroyo. Not looking at a second quarterback. I could take Rashad White or Jordan Mason and just keep banking on one of these running backs paying off for my team, or even maybe Ray Davis if they move on from James Cook.
I'm not saying pick these guys now at tight end, but Brandon Strange is a sneaky tight end this season. Jacksonville uses their tight end. Even Cohen uses his tight end, Cade Otton occasionally. Brandon Strange is a really athletic tight end out of Penn State.
Otton's production was really when everybody else got hurt, and then once Jalen McMillan kind of came into his own, Cade Otton was completely phased out of the Liam Cohen offense. He was just there.
Yeah, for the most part, but he was still rosterable for sure. He was still putting up 10 points PPR. But another guy's Ben Sinnott. I think Ben Sinnott has a chance to get on the field this season like Trey McBride did.
I love Ben Sinnott, so I don't love him enough to be my starting tight end.
One. No. I said don't pick him here, but like later in the draft, I'm not saying it's going to happen early in the season, but Trey McBride eventually took over his second season. I'm pretty sure it was his second year.
It was,
and then his third year was his absolute breakout. It's all lining up the same here for Ben Sinnott. He literally had like 5 or 6 catches last season. He did not play, but he pass blocked the hell out. So he was out there on the field doing dog stuff. I think it's a sneaky little pick.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Jordan Mason. He showed that he could be a bell cow running back in San Francisco.
That's what I wanted. So good.
He moves here to Minnesota. Aaron Jones, we don't know. Eventually, Aaron Jones, I think, phases out. This year he managed to stay healthy, but that has not been Aaron Jones' MO.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Jordan Mason. Continue my hopefully one of these backs pays off situation here with Javonte, Tank Bigsby, and Jordan Mason on my roster.
That's who I wanted. So that's a really good pick. He's gonna. You guys paid him for the next 2 years, so it's going to be him and Jones. But if Jordan Mason is your best running back this season, that wouldn't surprise me. And you just got him here in the 12th round. So I think that's a really good pick.
Yeah. Jared Goff, Rashad White, Dylan Sampson go next, putting you on the clock.
Kind of tilting. I'm not going to lie to you because I was really hoping for Jordan Mason. I'm looking at another onesie position. So I'm either going quarterback or tight end. I'm going to double up real quick. We got Trevor Lawrence, but I'm looking at Justin Fields. Just based off a 2-year window with the Jets.
Go with the upside. Like, sure, he's not going to pass for 3,000 yards, but
exactly
he could rush for 1,000, and that kind of balances that out for fantasy for you.
Yeah, we're looking at guys like Anthony Richardson was drafted in the 5th round last year in redraft leagues, just based off what he can do. Well, I've seen Justin Fields do that. I've never seen Anthony Richardson do that. So I'm going to pick Justin Fields here.
You hate Justin Fields.
I hate both my quarterbacks. I hate Brock Purdy and I hate Justin Fields.
But you got the Fields Garrett Wilson stack here for you.
I do. And now I'm going to double up on the other onesie position. I'm going with one of my favorite rookie tight ends in Terrence Ferguson.
Yeah.
The Rams traded up to get this guy. Sean McVay is an offensive scheme wizard, and he is essentially Colston Loveland. Him and Colston Loveland tested almost identically at the combine, and they got him around later than the Bears got Colston Loveland in the first.
Well, Loveland didn't test at the combine. He was hurt.
No, I just meant like, but okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. But like the way Terrence Ferguson ran at the combine, it's what Colston Loveland would have done.
Yeah.
He was the poor man's Colston Loveland throughout this whole draft process. And Sean McVay knew that, and he went up and got him in the second round, higher than anyone thought he was going to be drafted.
I love Terrence Ferguson. I had him higher than Arroyo, but I saw them similarly. But I understand where you go with like Loveland. You can line Ferguson up in the slot, and like
McVay's going to keep moving him around a ton.
They've always used, and he doesn't bring you any sort of offensive versatility, whereas Terrence Ferguson does, and with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua there, things should open up for him. Like it wouldn't surprise me if he is tight end one for them from day one. Like
I agree, 100%
I'm sure it's
agree.
going to be Higbee, but I think Terrence Ferguson, there's a realm where he has 6 touchdowns this year.
I agree, and Higbee even showed like spike weeks when he's healthy. He had really big games, and he's not an athletic. He's athletic, but he's not a really good over the top tight end. Terrence Ferguson can do a little bit of everything. And I think McVay's going to know how to use him tremendously. So I'm cool going the younger tight end. I wanted the guy that I could plug in this year to start if Likely doesn't get off to a hot start. But I think come the end of the season, I got Baltimore's number 1 tight end, and I got the Rams tight end. I'm perfectly content with both those guys.
Sandwiched between your picks of Fields and Ferguson, Dak Prescott and Devin Neal were selected.
Love the Devin Neal pick.
Yeah. I figured you were going to target him later, so I'm surprised he actually went here. I figured he'd be like the last round, but Devin Neal's a nice pick there. Saints rookie running back. After you went Ferguson, Darnell Mooney, Marvin Mims, J.K. Dobbins off the board. So I'm finally picking my starting tight end, and I am taking Elijah Arroyo.
Hell yeah.
Seattle rookie tight end, and I will look to get another tight end here in the next round or two to pair with Arroyo.
That's smart,
after that,
I don't think he's their starter right off the bat. They have Noah Fant, who I think is going to be the starter probably all season. But come next year, Arroyo is going to be an absolute fantasy darling, I think, if he's able to pull it all together. Yeah, that's a crazy pick, dog.
was really looking at Ray Davis here, but Garendo,
Smart.
Quentin Johnston, Blake Corum, Rashid Shaheed, Braylon Allen, Kate Otten round out round 13. Pat Fryermuth, Jaden Wright, Rashad Bateman, Ray Davis, Tank Dell, Rico Dowdle start round 14.
Tank Dell, I didn't know I was running team 8. That's pretty crazy. I think the Rashad Bateman pick's pretty sneaky here. They just paid him.
Yeah.
I think Bateman's online for possible double-digit touchdowns. I think he could out-touchdown Mark Andrews this year.
Yeah, I agree. Running backs, kind of want to tinker around with one of the upside guys. Roschon Johnson's here. It wouldn't surprise me if he is Chicago's starter. I think he can outplay DeAndre Swift.
Not even the starter. I think he's going to be the what was that guy's name? Do you remember him in Detroit that one year when they had Swift?
Khalif Raymond?
No. The kid that went to New Orleans and he sucks now. But he's super in like anime and Pokemon.
Oh, old ass Jamal Williams.
Yes, Jamal Williams had like the double-digit touchdown season. I think Roschon Johnson can do that.
And then they brought in David Montgomery to do that role.
But that's
better.
the season like they had Swift on the team. Swift isn't going to be the touchdown guy in here in Chicago. No. I think it's going to be Roschon Johnson. I think he could.
It's going to be Kyle Manung guy.
Probably not. Probably not, brother. But I really think Roschon is a sneaky late round guy in fantasy this year, for sure.
No, I thought about tinkering with one of the rookie backs, like DJ Giddens, my guy Jarquez Hunter. Like again, I bring up Kyron Williams still doesn't have a contract, so and I really think Jarquez Hunter is the guy if they move on from Kyron more so than Blake Corum, Woody Marks, the rookie backs that are here. Looking at Tinker and then
guys
Brooks.
We talked about for months. Yeah, Damian Martinez is coming up. He's down there.
Yeah. But Cedric Tillman's here, and
Cedric Tillman's fun, dude.
Before that concussion, Cedric Tillman was ripping it up.
Him and Judy were like identical. Him and Judy were putting up on par the same stats.
Yeah,
and
so
now Jerry Judy's going in the 5th round of fantasy drafts, and Cedric Tillman's going in the last round.
And for this year, if Joe Flacco is the guy there, I love Cedric Tillman's value,
for sure,
especially here. And long term, I like him more than Judy in terms of just value. Like Jerry Judy went round 7. That's a little rich for me.
Judy's going too early in drafts, dude.
Yeah, whereas
and I like Judy, but the quarterback is
Tillman
too
here
questionable
at the end of the draft, who provides to me the same upside. So that is where I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman. He's a darling of mine. I loved him coming out of Tennessee. So going Cedric Tillman, and of course it froze up. There we go. Tyler Algier.
My fear for any guy in Cleveland is that Kenny Pickett is the starting quarterback.
Oh yeah, tiny hands.
What do you think his career high in touchdowns is?
Oh, it's like 7.
It is 7.
Yeah.
He played a full season.
Yeah, he's cheeks.
And got 7 touchdowns, dude. He's not
straight
it, dude.
buns.
Like, it's
straight buns.
And that worries the hell out of me.
After I went Cedric Tillman, Tyler Algier off the board, Jalen Royals, rookie receiver for the Chiefs, and Trevor Lawrence, putting you up here with 3 more selections.
So my onesie positions are all locked. I doubt I take another quarterback. I doubt I take another tight end. My tight ends are pretty young. I got Purdy, who just signed a huge deal with San Fran for like 4 or 5 years. So I'm pretty comfortable with my onesie positions. I'm looking at the backs here, dude, and there's really nothing that really pops out. Roshan, I talked about him. Sure, but I'm looking at receivers, and I see Pat Bryant there. A guy that I don't like as much as RJ Harvey, but they're almost the same kind of thing. Like Sean Payton went out, traded up to get Pat Bryant, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So he's going to use him. And at some point, it's not going to probably be this year. Pat Bryant's a big body, Cortland Sutton kind of receiver. So he's going to be maybe pushing 8-10 touchdowns a season.
He could be Michael Thomas.
Oh, dude, and I would love that. That would be phenomenal. But I'm going to go with a little bit of youth here. I'm going to go with Pat Bryant.
All right. After Pat Bryant, Dallas Goedert, and DJ Giddens off the board, putting you up here, 15th round, 2 picks after this.
I'm going to go with Roshan Johnson, the running back we talked about from the Bears. Even if Swift is their quote-for-quote back, he's not going to get a ton of carries. We already seen how it went with Ben Johnson. He doesn't really like to load up on DeAndre Swift. I think Roshan Johnson is going to be involved regardless of what his role is. Even if it's not the touchdown guy, even if it's just a 3rd down kind of role. But Roshan Johnson, he's a leader. We all heard it coming out of Texas. Him and Bijan were the legit leaders in that locker room, and Roshan was the backup. So if he's able to do that with the Bears and Ben Johnson, show some kind of leadership, show some type of fire spark, and Swift happens to shit the bed, we already know Ben Johnson's not all in on him anyways. So Roshan's a steal at this point.
Yeah, no, I like that. Even if he doesn't pan out for you, he's
exactly
taking one of your last roster spots here in this scenario. After you go Roshan, Cokeheads unite. Jalen Coker off the board. Carolina Panthers wide receiver Ollie Gordon and Jerome Ford. Putting me up. There's a couple guys I'm looking at.
Roman Wilson.
I would love to pick Roman Wilson.
Hey man, you can. He's there. You can pick him if you really want
to. Ben Sinnott, Brenton Strange, Jatavian Sanders, they're all in the mix here for me. Even Harold Fannin. Fannin less so. I really don't want to be banking on 2 rookie tight ends on my roster. I'm not really looking at a second quarterback. I trust Drake May to be my guy where I can just stream somebody when he has his bye week. So I'm going to go with my dude, Jarquez Hunter, and I've been on the wagon and consistent. Like if Kyron Williams doesn't resign, I think I'm getting the Rams' future starting running back. Marshawn Lloyd's interesting here.
I agree.
I know he didn't get a lot of time there in Green Bay last year due to injury, but they didn't really bring anybody else in after losing A.J. Dillon. But I'm going to go with the guy I've had full trust in throughout the process. Trevor Etienne's another one who I love, but I don't like Etienne's situation. I don't think he's going to take too much time from Chuba Hubbard. Whereas I think there is a path for Jarquez Hunter, and the path, I mean, it would require Kyron Williams not to be re-signed, but
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's more likely than Trevor Etienne outplaying Chuba Hubbard. So, and it's one of my last picks, so I'm fine losing out if Jarquez Hunter doesn't pan out and the things don't work for him. So I'm taking him. Taking my dude out of Auburn, Jarquez Hunter. After that, Trevor Etienne.
Believe in your guys, dude.
Yeah. Trevor Etienne off the board, pick after me. Bryce Young.
Speaking of your guys.
Bryce Young, Hollywood Brown, Wan'Dale Robinson, Austin Eckler, Jordan James to round out round 15. Final round,
Nick
Jonathan
guy.
Brooks, interesting pick.
Sure.
16th last round. Marshawn Lloyd, Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, Christian Kirk. Nice, good value pick here. You get 1 year probably from him. And then Kendre Miller.
Well, you know, when you pick Tank Dell, you kind of have to pick his replacement in Christian Kirk, so it kind of makes sense.
They did take them both. Tank, they should have flopped those pick here, computer.
Sure.
Christian Kirk in the 14th, and then you take the flyer on Tank Dell in the last round. Throw him
The Tank Dell pick is the craziest pick in this whole draft, dude.
Yeah,
and I love Tank Dell.
That's crazy.
He's one of my favorites.
Our rookie draft, where all the no-name quarterbacks were being picked because the computer
100%.
AI was stupid. I'm taking Ben Sinnott here. I'm just gonna
yeah, dude.
live and die with my guys. And I'm confident if Ben Sinnott or Elijah Arroyo don't work out, I could just stream the tight end position and look to either trade for a guy in the offseason, or maybe there's a rookie coming out next year who I can target. So I love Ben Sinnott coming out. I love his role in Washington. Zach Ertz getting really old. So Ben Sinnott here. I'm just going to go with the upside with my last pick. Rashad Smith, Audric Estime, Alec Ayumanor. Off the board after that, putting you up with your final selection.
You said his name very well. Proud of you.
Alec Ayumanor? Years.
Just years. Well,
all off.
Couple years at Stanford. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I lied to everybody. I'm going to go onesie position. I was looking at the running backs. I was looking at the receivers. They're not it. So, like you said, you just believe in your guys. I'm going to pick Jackson Dart. Justin Fields isn't a long-term option here.
Yeah.
I think Dart's the Giants quarterback mid-season, if not next season. And like Drake May, dude, he's sneakily athletic. He's constantly picking up 10-yard runs, and he's just wearing down defenses. And before the end of the game, you know what? Jackson Dart has 66 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown. And you're like, oh, shit, that's a free 12 points out of nowhere. So I don't think he's got a crazy high upside in fantasy, but I think he's right there with Brock Purdy if he pans out. So I'm just believing in my guys, dude. And
you probably
he's got a
only
great
have
coach, dude. So
2 years with Justin Fields,
exactly,
maybe more, but you're not banking on that being guaranteed.
No, you can't.
So if Justin Fields gets his 2 years and the Jets are like, okay, this isn't working, Jackson Dart at that point, you'll know what you got, and he could be your starter. And then last pick of the draft, Damian Martinez, running back.
My boy, baby.
Yeah.
Damian Martinez, great pick.
To Seattle. And honestly, with Kenneth Walker's health, Zach Charbonnet's on the final year of his deal. I don't hate that pick there by the computer. Team 1 rounding out their team with 4 rookie running backs, 2 in Devin Neal, TJ Giddens, and Damian Martinez. They're banking on that upside. They have RJ Harvey.
They do have RJ Harvey.
Only rookie running backs with Devon Achane there. Team 1.
They also have Trey Harris as well. They're just stacked up on rookies.
Living a wild life. Okay. Dynasty startup. Obviously, we would have done more rounds if we really wanted to go in deep to this, but I figured 16 is just a good podcast as we get to an hour 20 here.
You want a quick run through our rosters? Yeah,
I'll run through. Drake May, only quarterback on my roster. Running back, Ashton Jeanty, Derrick Henry, Javonte Williams, Tank Bigsby, Jordan Mason, Jarquez Hunter. Running out my running back room. Wide receiver room, looking at Marvin Harrison and Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Jalen Waddle at my flex spots, and then Josh Downs, Cooper Kupp on my bench with Cedric Tillman as well. So I got some good depth at wide receiver, a lot of guys that I trust. And then my tight ends, I'm flying by the seam of my pants, Elijah Arroyo and Ben Sinnott to round out my roster.
A little bit risky there on the tight ends, but hey, man, I like it.
Hey, I risked it like you quarterbacks
Exactly, yeah.
fell your way a little bit more than tight ends did mine, but I
little bit.
liked Sinnott coming out in the process. I liked Arroyo as well.
I agree. I like both those guys.
I think one of them pans out. At least that's the hope. If not, I figure it out in the offseason.
You can easily go get a tight end in the offseason. Someone's going to not keep one of their backup tight ends, and you'll be fine, for sure. Tight end's not to use on my board. So unlike you, I have 3 quarterbacks because I punted it, and I kind of needed the stack up. So I got Brock Purdy, Justin Fields, and Jackson Dart as the long shot at my quarterbacks. My running backs are Bucky Irving, Caleb Johnson, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard, and Roshan Johnson. Receivers, I got Justin Jefferson, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams, Devontae Adams, Jaden Reed, and Pat Bryant. Stacked the receivers. I love that. And tight ends is Isaiah Likely and Terrence Ferguson, 2 high upside athletic hell tight ends, and they're both still pretty young. So yeah, I really like how the draft fell for both of us here. It was a vibe, and like I said, this is a good exercise. Most people don't do dynasty startup leagues every year, so this keeps you up to date with the dynasty rankings, keeps everyone in touch. And yeah, man, just heavy receivers, heavy running backs. You can get your onesie positions later. Like I'm completely happy with Brock Purdy, Justin Fields as my quarterbacks for sure.
I don't remember our dynasty league that we ran, but the other dynasty league we were in together. I had the first pick in the starting draft, and I took Andrew Luck. And it ended up working out for me because I ended up trading Andrew Luck for a ton. It was like Dak Prescott, David Johnson.
This year he came out? Is that how long ago this was?
It was his second or third year. So it was off his boom year. And I think and then I turned all that stuff into stuff. So like it ended up working out not having Andrew Luck, but I was able to trade him for like a ton of draft picks as well. So it is tricky. Like that was the first dynasty league we ever did, and I was like, I'm just going to get the young upside quarterback. Whereas now, it's not a position I value a ton of good quarterbacks in the league here. Yep. So yeah, I like both our teams. I think they turned out really well. I don't love my depth at running back, but I'm just banking on one of these guys panning out, whether it's Javonte, Tank Bigsby, Jordan Mason, Jarquez Hunter. So, but Derrick Henry, Devon, and Ashton Janty, I'm locked in there with my starters.
Yeah, you're locked in 2 running backs deep for at least the next 2 years, and it's hard for a team to say that in Dynasty. So you could easily figure out the backups come next season if all of those guys happen to not pan out. But I think one of them would pan out. I think Javonte's going to have a sneaky year.
I could have a chance at one of the Penn State running backs next year, or
there's for sure.
There's another Notre Dame running back, Jeremiah Love. Some good running backs coming out. All right, Dynasty startup mock in the books there. A nice little fun exercise, like you said. It was fun. It was good.
For sure.
We did promise a mock draft here at some point this month, so that's
probably
way too
coming. Early 2026.
Yes,
for sure.
It might get pushed to July because we missed a week, but it will happen.
It's close.
I promise.
It's close. It's happening. It'll happen before all the fantasy stuff really starts going down for sure.
Yeah, I'm thinking next week. Maybe we do a little summer scouting, just talk about a couple guys we're watching, or maybe just focus on just talk about some quarterbacks. That's where most of my research has been currently now.
Just looking that's kind of where I start, just looking at the quarterback class.
Just go by the positions instead of just and we won't rank them. We'll just kind of talk about them because I'm not stacking a board here in June.
There's no way.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. We'll shoot for that next week. Talk 2026 rookie quarterbacks.
Possible 2026 quarterbacks. Some of these guys might not come out. We might be talking about these guys for 2 years, 3 years.
Yep. Yeah, and I hope we are for some of them.
I agree, for sure.
Drafted Up Podcasts. Like, rate, subscribe, review, Apple, YouTube, Spotify. Search Drafted Up Podcasts. We'll be there. We appreciate all that. Support our friends at Dubby and Findlay Force. Findlay Force, the link will be in the description. Dubby, it's Drafted Up at checkout. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Anything else?
Be here. Nah, dog, I'm good. Let's wrap it up.
Adios.
Bye, y'all.